This is the series that I thought was going to happen in the conference finals, and I felt that the Islanders were overdue for a nice long run. The problem was that I thought that the Flames might be due for a long run in the West as well, or at least into the second round or something. I had Vegas and Colorado, and I had the Islanders and Tampa in the East. So those were my final four, and so close, really close. But here we are, the Islanders in Tampa Bay, and I find myself cheering for the Islanders. Sue me. That's why I'm wearing an Islanders jersey. This isn't about who I think is going to win. I still have Tampa winning my bracket, but boy, after what the Islanders did to the Flyers, and after what they've done just throughout these playoffs and the play-in round as well against Florida, it'd be kind of fun to see just how far they can go. So they have my full interest, and we'll see how it goes for them. This is the farthest they've been, of course, since 1993, and they're trying to go the furthest they've gone since 1984 by going to the Stanley Cup Finals if they can win this series. Now, in net, it's interesting because you've got Varlamov, who's 9-4 with a 921 save percentage, but you have Grace, who's 2-1 with a 960 save percentage. Had the shutout last night. I would think he plays tomorrow night. On the Tampa Bay side of things, you have Vasi, and that's pretty much it. Vasilevsky 10-3 with a 931 save percentage. He's played every minute during the return. And while we've all talked about a lot of goaltenders, it's almost as if at this point now it's just kind of expected, and well, Tampa's kind of a great team, so Vasilevsky kind of gets overlooked for the most part. And I think this is the series where that may very well change. Now they have Wedgwood listed as the backup right now in the NHL app. McElhinney's there too. It really doesn't matter. They don't want to go to the backup. They don't need to. And the plan is going to be Vasilevsky throughout the series, I would think. Not worried about back-to-backs and all that. You know, you keep seeing that too. Like, well, there's back-to-backs. They might play both goalies. Not at this point in the playoffs, you don't. Not at this point in the playoffs. You stay with that same goaltender. So power plays are remarkably similar between these two teams so far in the return. The Islanders 16.9%. The Tampa Bay Lightning's at 17.1%. And they're both teams who their fans will tell you don't draw enough power plays. So it's possible we don't see very many power plays in this round at all. Penalty kill, 82.2% for the Islanders, 81.2% for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So they both add up to a number slightly below 100. Doesn't really help, doesn't really hurt either way. And that about encapsulates it for these two teams, really. Goals for and against is surprising. The Islanders, 3.38 goals for per game and 1.94 goals against per game. They were playing the counterattack game better than anybody. The goals for per game for Tampa Bay, 3 goals against, 2.31. You know, and what really stands out too isn't just that the goal differential is better for the Islanders, but you look at the overall offensive numbers, it's just better for the Islanders. You got Bailey with 16 games, 2 goals, 15 assists, 17 points. He has the most assists for any Islander now in the playoffs since Bob Bourne back in 1983. Yep, we're getting into the dynasty numbers with the Islanders, so that's where if you're an Islanders fan, you might get just a little bit nervous about this. Barzell, 16 games, 5 goals, 8 assists, 13 points. Beauvillier, 16 games, 8 goals, 4 assists, 12 points. Been a great coming out party for him. Nelson, 16 games, 7 goals, 8 assists, 15 points. Brock Nelson is doing what he's struggled to do in previous playoffs. Put those pucks away. I remember last year against Carolina, all the prime opportunities he had, he just couldn't bury one. And this year, that hasn't been a problem. Eberle, 16 games, 3 goals, 8 assists, 11 points. He's kind of taken Nelson's spot. He kind of having the problem of not being able to bury it. Now, on the Tampa side, Braden Point leads him, 13 games, 6 goals, 12 assists, 18 points. He's been fantastic. Kucherov's 13 games, 4 goals, 12 assists, 16 points. What's interesting with Kucherov is it still feels like we haven't seen his best as of yet. So that's going to be interesting. Palat, 13 games, 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points. The same totals as Victor Hedman, who is I think he's getting healthier as this goes along. Killorn, 13 games, 4 goals, 3 assists, 7 points. Not on the board, who also had 7 points, 3 goals and 4 assists. Yanni Gourde and Blake Coleman. And of course, that is the ace in the hole if you're Tampa Bay, is that third line and the scoring they provide. The problem is there's depth scoring from the Islanders as well. These teams are pretty evenly matched. Don't let their seedings fool you. Now, on the interesting side of things, on the Islanders side, Anders Lee, 16 games and 7 goals, 0 assists. So Lee's good at putting away and playing mine. That's mine. Why didn't you pass it there? Because mine. I got the goal. You could have passed it, Anders. Mine. I'm expecting an assist or two in this series. I'm just kidding about the mine thing. Andy Green, 16 games, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. And his points have been well timed. And his goals have been, not necessarily, like big Mario Lemieux reminiscent of 91 goals. But you know what? They've been at key times. So he is one to watch as the veteran on their blue line. On the Tampa side, Stamkos. Well, is Stamkos going to play? Are we going to see Steven Stamkos in this series? I genuinely have no idea if we're going to see Stamkos in this series. Barclay Goodrow, 13 games, 1 goal, 2 assists, and 3 points. He's part of that really strong third line as well. And I think he's overdue for a goal or two in this series. He's certainly been around the net enough in order to find that, and I do think that's coming. Tampa Bay's going to have a really hard time with the Islanders, but in the end, I still think Tampa Bay should be able to get past the Islanders, who have got through Washington, and they've got through Philadelphia, so it's possible that they knock off Tampa, but we'll see. Now, these teams played 3 times during the regular season. Yep, we take that with a grain of salt. That was a long time ago. November 1st, which was a little over 10 months ago now. The Islanders won 5-2 at home. December 9th, they went to Tampa, and that was, 9 months ago now? They won 5-1 over Tampa then, and then Tampa Bay won their 1 out of 3 matchups with a 3-1 win on February 8th at home against the Islanders. So Tampa Bay lost 2 out of 3 against the New York Islanders this year, if that matters, and it really doesn't. I've seen people trying to make predictions on the series and going, oh, this team owns this one during the regular season. Clearly, this one's going to win. Nah, we had so much time off. It's kind of like a new season in between what's been a season that was abandoned, and then the next season, we don't know what it's going to look like. And we're in no man's land, and it's wonderful that we're there together. These teams have met twice in the playoffs before. Tampa Bay won both. Round 2 in 2016, Tampa Bay wins in 5. And in 2004, they met in the first round. Tampa Bay won the Cup that year, and Tampa Bay won that round in 5. I don't have to say this franchise right now, this roster that the Islanders have put together is very different from the one that existed in 2016 or 2004. The Tampa Bay Lightning they've changed a lot of the team from 2016, but there's still some core there that's definitely the same team. But the 2004 Stanley Cup winners, that's 16 years ago. I'm going to go out on a limb and say there's nobody on the active roster, because I don't want to say nobody there that was there on the team, because then people will be like, well, there's this scout, and there's this assistant coach, and there's this trainer, and then there's this guy that has this thing. He sits in the first row. He has this really cool thing. Yeah, he's there too, so you don't know what you're talking about. So, yeah, I'm just saying nobody on the active roster from the 2004 roster. And I do think Tampa's done enough to shed that choking mentality or choking image that people gave them last year. But if they lose this one in 7, it all comes flooding back. That's the thing. If this gets to a Game 7, that's where the pressure is squarely on the Tampa Bay Lightning, because they've had a bit of a reputation for not being able to win it if it gets to a Game 7. One interesting caveat would be this. So Stamkos is the one that kind of bears the brunt of that Game 7 mystique, because I don't think he has a point in any of the Game 7s he's played. But if Tampa Bay wins this one, and let's say they win it in 7, and Stamkos isn't in the lineup, does that mean that then we'll start instead of saying, oh, he has problems with Game 7, it'll be Tampa Bay wins Game 7s if Stamkos isn't in the lineup? It's one game. It's silly to have that attached to it, but that could very well happen. We'll see what happens if he comes back. I think if he comes back, it'll only help Tampa, but we just never know. Sometimes a star player comes back, other players who've been playing really well, their prominent role diminishes, and it might throw the whole team off. We'll see. The Tampa Bay Lightning are halfway to their goal. Technically, the Islanders are 3/5 of the way to their goal since they had to go through 3 rounds to get here. Tampa Bay had to do the round robin and then the 2 rounds. And we'll see if that extra round of wear and tear, which is hitting Barzal mostly in the face, and friendly fire in that last game too, which isn't friendly at all. I don't know why they call it that. I do know why they call it that. But the reality is, at this stage, I would think with how condensed the schedule's been, Tampa should be just as beat up as the Islanders. We'll find out in this series. Let me know your winner in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.